Fresh out of Gamescom, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord has released a trailer to give us a little bit more of an idea of how the Nords are going to be playing in the new DLC war sales for Bannerlord. Now, in this video today, we're just pretty much going to be looking at this trailer. I'm going to go ahead and link it in the comment section below, so feel free to just simply go and look at the trailer if you want. I have to play this trailer on mute. You should not play this trailer on mute. It unfortunately has an Amon Amarth song, which is one of my favorite metal bands. If I play it, it will demonetize my video. So I'm going to be pressing this button right here and muting it. Please go and watch it on your own, but we're just going to be talking about what I've observed in this video, some possible things that we'll probably be seeing with units coming to the Nords, as well as just some general observations. So if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to go ahead and shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time, and I don't want you to think that there's going to be any big information here in this video that you don't already know from just watching the trailer. Again, that'll be linked below. You can jump ahead to any part of the video that interests you the most. And if you are heading out, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. But let's get started here on the Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord War Sales Introduction to the Nords. So we're just going to go ahead and press play here and let this roll. I'm going to pause it at places. The reason I'm not just letting this roll is that it's muted, so we can't really enjoy all of it. But man, it is sick. This does say it's in-engine and gameplay footage, but we can see right from this just an idea of what the architecture is going to look like in all of the Nord cities and the castles, and it's pretty goddamn awesome. So if you've played the game before Bannerlord, you know you've got Valandia, which is very Western Europe. You have got the Empire, which is very much the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantium of the kind of early Middle Ages. And this Bannerlord is set before the events of Mount & Blade 1, so it's even kind of further back. Just kind of that just again, early Middle Ages, I think, is the best way to describe it without getting too crazy and lost in the weeds of history, which I always do. Now, another big thing too is Sturgia, and a lot of people are going to be playing Sturgia and go, "Why the hell are you have Nords? There's already that." Well, Sturgia is based off of the Kievan Rus, which are basically proto-Russian, Ukrainian, Slavic people that are actually direct descendants kind of from the Nords, more or less, quote-unquote Nords. Vikings is the best word to use for it, but they come across and settle in the northern portion of modern-day Russia and then move south and then create this massive empire, the Kievan Rus, which is a really cool point in history. And if you don't know about the Kievan Rus, I definitely recommend learning about it. But that's Sturgia. Nords are going to play kind of like what we know for the Norse Viking people. And from a historical standpoint, they have a mass exodus outside of their lands because of poor farmland, overpopulation. And that's why we have basically the Age of Vikings, where they go and inhabit portions of all portions of the UK, right? They go and inhabit portions of the southern tip of Italy in the Normans. Normans are basically Vikings that were given land by the French to say, hey, please stop raiding Paris. So we'll have a lot of that flavor here, and you can see a lot of this represented in the art and how this is all done, and it looks absolutely aces. I'm loving so much what we see, and we already have a sample of Nords in Bannerlord as is. They are a part of one of the factions. You can see that they have their racial distinction as Nords. So as we kind of jump through this, we can see what the ships will look like for the Nords, which shouldn't come as anyone's surprise to anyone. Britannia is also kind of based off of Celtic faction or a Celtic history. But what we see here too is a lot of, oh God, clearly I watch a lot of synthwave. But you can see an idea of what this faction is going to look like. And it's not going to be too far from Britannia. We're going to get some stuff from Britannia. We're going to get some things that we're going to see from Sturgia, from a lot of the visual aesthetic, but it's going to be, I think, combined in a different way across heavier infantry, some good archers, and far less cavalry. So we'll have to see how that works itself out. And as we kind of push through this, we'll see more and more. Waiting a little bit here. This is kind of a cool call out here, and we'll see this guy right there. looks more like a Huskarl, and we'll see more of that as we come just a little bit further. A call out to a famous battle in English history. And we can see right from this shot pretty much an idea of what I would expect the Nords army to kind of be comprised of. A lot of heavy infantry. Probably there's going to be some sort of pikemen or spearmen within the lot, and then some archers. And we see this represented from pressing this button. And we see some Valandian knights doing a big charge here, coming into a shield wall supported by archers, as to be expected from what I would want from this faction, right? A lot of heavy infantry play. Now, historically speaking in Bannerlord, and feel free to correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, because I haven't played Bannerlord in a hot minute. Infantry is good, but it gets outmatched by a lot of really good cavalry. And they've added in the capability for long weapons or pike weapons to actually have a good spear wall response to horses. So I really want to see how this plays out, because I mean, horse archers have been so powerful in the game over time, and it has to do kind of with how the game tracks ranged weapons. But it does look like too, we will see a lot of throwers in this army. So let's go ahead, and throwers are also super devastating in this game. So we can see some action here. We see some of the really cool Imperial ships. Tremere, I can't pronounce those things properly, but I love the overall aesthetic of how this looks. I'm really excited to see what War Sails is going to actually play like. I want to see how this right here looks and feels, how the fights are. It looks. I forgot the ragdoll effects of this game. So we already get a sample, and this isn't a unit. This is clearly a character that the devs have used to dress up in a Nord fashion, but just whomp right in the face. And if you listen to a Monomarth when you hear that part, it's so much cooler. But here we have some action going down as like a Cantabrian circle going on with basically a big old circle of spears and a lot of throwing axes. So I expect this to kind of act like a little bit of a buffer against what we would normally get in an army, right? Their composition looks to be really focused on infantry, and I want to see some mechanics that are going to support that, hopefully. Now, here's a cool call out to the Battle of Hastings Bridge, where I don't remember if it was just one Huskarl or multiple Huskarls held a bridge on their own until they were literally stabbed underneath through these wooden slats with a spear in their ball sack. And it's not even like a hyperbole, that's what happened. But that's kind of a representation of what happens right here. And it's a cool call out to this unit, these heavy axe units, very similar to what we have in Stygia. So I'll be really interested to see how this army really kind of shakes itself out. And that kind of brings me to the closing portion here of the video. I'm a little worried that the Nords will play too similar to Stygia. And what happens is, and I've not played in quite a bit, Stygia always gets its ass kicked in by almost all the other factions because of how auto-resolving weighs cavalry against the rest of the forces. And it's always kind of stacked out differently, and it's never been too great. It's always kind of been like a thing like, oh, if you want to play Iron Man mode, play Stygia. So I want to see how the Nords are going to feel different. In the same way, too, Britannia has a lot of the similar mechanics, or at least feel. I mean, if you take a look at the historical cultural references of the Norse Vikings, of the Celts, of the Kievan Rus, they're all very similar in their general army construction and tactics. Eventually, over time, they would start to take on the tactics of the regions that they would go to inhabit, right? But a lot of it would be at the very beginning of that time, historically, very similar across the board. So it'll be very interesting to see how War Sails shakes it out and how all this works. I'm really excited for it because this is finally a DLC we're going to be getting for a game that has been quiet for a long time. So it's going to be exciting to see how all this plays out, what War Sails mechanics are going to have, what the mechanics that War Sails are going to bring, but moreover, what mechanics is War Sail going to bring to the base game to help out with all these new conventions? How is it going to tweak a lot of stuff? And they've already said in the general announcement, hey, we're going to be tweaking the way combat is played across the board. So I'm very, very curious to see how that is going to shake itself out. But go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Are you excited about War Sails? Does this excite you about the new faction, the Nords? How are you excited about it? Are you saying like, hey, Yeah, I agree with you. Some of this might have too heavy of an overlap, or are you beyond excited and you think that there's going to be certain mechanics and these are them that'll really favor that faction. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.